Yes. Yeah. And as soon as it goes live on the thing, then I'll shut the screen and come back here. And
I see two vias in the mikveh.
there, okay, the scoop is this. The background to this, I found a few good descriptions of what was going on. One of them, well, this is the triggering event, and we'll contextualize it in a moment. But we're talking about ER 1917. The Balfour Committee is meeting. They're still in battle with the Turks, but that they know they're planning for what they're going to do. And as the Balfour Committee, being biblical, sort of British Protestant biblicists, were moved by the story of the return to Zion and the Zionist Chaim Weizmann and so forth that they had been approached with and were dealing with. But then in the month of ER, which is like in May 1917, the head of the Jewish organizations publicized in the Times of London a opinion piece in which they said that Jews are now liberated. We are not after seeking separate political aspirations.
That there were two Jewish cabinet members who also had that opinion.
Yes.
Montague and Isaac.
Well, yes. Montague is going to get mentioned soon enough. And so therefore, this whole effort in the national effort in Palestine that's based on the idea of creating a national Beit Leumi for the Jewish people is for certain going to cause in its aftermath the stamping of all the Jews wherever they are as now foreigners. They'll lose their rights wherever they are. And we want to make it clear to the people in England and everybody, Anu Yehudim Britim Bnei Dat Moshe. We are British Jews, children of Moshe, of the faith of Moses. As are the Jews in the entire world. We are children of a religion, but not b'nei le'um, not children of a nation in the nation thing. L'chein ein lanu tzorech b'medina shelanu. And therefore, we don't have a need for a nation of our own. Tov lanu b'mekomotenu. It's good for us where we are. This is a direct quote from what they published. And then Rav Kook's expressed that there was a real, what we'll read, what Rav Kook put out as a response. It says that he saw it as betrayal, not just of the people of Israel, but for all humankind, because the lack of the land of Israel being the place that's being developed, the development of the Ummah HaIsraelit, where we need the creation, the formation of the Ummah HaIsraelit, is for the sake of all humankind. Memele el kol enoshut kulo. It'll delay improvement for everyone. and then many people responded to the Times, and the newspaper crowned it as a Jewish revolt of the entire nation against its leaders, which means once Rav Kook made his opinion known, well, we'll see what the response was, but what the basic response was that Saturday night, masses of people wrote letters to the Balfour Committee quoting him, and there were and so on. But let's not jump ahead of ourselves, because he was even quoted in the British Parliament when they were discussing, well, is Judaism a nation? A nation? Does it have a nation identity, or is it just a religion? And one of the people in the government said, well, whose opinion are we going to rely on for what is the truth of that? Lord, what's his name, Svetling or Rav Kook? Rav Kook's name was used in the parliament to say his opinion is the opinion that we rely on to understand if the Jewish people are also a nation. And it's so that's how. Now to give us a little more background, and here's the letterhead. You see that, the letterhead from Mechzikei Adat? Avram Yitzchak Rav Ivdi, he's still titled as the rabbi of Yafo and the settlements, and temporarily here in the Gola, the rabbi of Machzikei Hadat, on 9 Princelet Street, Spitalfields. East London, is that implied? London East?
Yeah, they call it the East End. Yeah.
That's where the East End. Okay. So here they give the context. The world is still at war. World War I. Rav Kook, he's out of the country when the war happens, so he goes to Switzerland, and then he's invited to be the rabbi of Machzikei Adat. And he made it clear until the war was over. And what's happening at this same time, the leaders of the Histadrut, the Zionist Histadrut, Dr. Chaim Weitzman and Nachum Sokolov, are going all around the world and making all their efforts in order to bring about the recognition from the British government to the historical rights of the people of Israel to establish a national home in the land of Israel. And their efforts of Weitzman and Sokolov are finding opposition of these British Jews who had much money and influence, who claimed, we, as we just read, Yehudim Britim, Bnei Dat Moshe, we're Jewish, British Jews, the children of the religion of Moses, just like the Jews are in all the world, children of a religion, not a nationality. We don't have a need for a Medina. And then it says, the story goes that these opposition to Zionism, they grew and they came out with this opinion that was published in the prestigious Times newspaper in the name B'Shem Hamonei Ha'am HaMitnagdim, supposedly in the name of the masses of people, of the population who oppose seeing Judaism as a nationality. And all the official leaders of British Judaism signed on this document, this Gilui Dat, and in the offices of the Zionist organizations, they were bemevucha. They were like freaked out. Rav Kook, Maran Harav Ha'az, he took He stepped forth and he emerged without any hesitation in a whole campaign against them. And he wrote an announcement to all the masses of the Jews, to the Hamonei Am.
Where was this published, his announcement?
It'll tell us in a minute, I think, who spoke Yiddish. Where it was published was they passed it around and it was read in every synagogue in Parshat Baalotcha. And then, all these copies are around. They published it everywhere probably,
Right.
but they had lots of copies of it. And so therefore, to all the gabbis of the synagogues was given the instruction to read this cruise, this
The babies that were.
whatever you want to call it,
Yes.
before the reading of the Torah. They did this before I guess after Shacharit, before the bringing out the Torah. The Shabbat Pa'ashat Baha'alotecha, when you raise up, which is in the spring. And this announcement caused Za'azu'a ve'taltala. It sort of like shook everything up and moved everything around.
This is just after Shavuot, isn't it? I think.
I think so.
Shavuos.
Well, it'd be easy to check, but it caused a real stir, a real shake, and telegrams, mivrakim, from all the synagogues besieged Hetzifu et HaMemshala HaBritit. They got overwhelmed with messages from all the synagogues. And this process helped to negate the opinions of those who were opposed to this declaration, to the Zionism. And again, they repeat the story. When the question came up in Parliament, Lord Svetling, who was an assimilated Jew, he was the Jewish guy, he claimed in Parliament that Judaism is just a religion and we don't have to recognize Jews as a separate nation. And at that point stood up the non-Jew, Mark Pioli was his name, and he asked, my dear friends, honored friends, who is more qualified to give a psak, lifsok, b'she'ela zo? Is it Lord Svetling and
It was actually
Montague? It was the two of them.
This was Montague, and the irony is that
Montague is the next, is mentioned here. Lord Svetling and Sir Montague.
They're relatives, they're brothers.
Yeah. And they're both mentioned here.
The irony is that their father was a member of Chovavei Zion.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he was named Sammy Montague, and he started the Sammy Montague Bank, and he was one of the only British members of Chovavei Zion. But his son and all his children, they formed the liberal synagogue in Britain. They broke away from their frum father, and they wanted to be assimilated Englishmen. That explains why their position.
Yeah. So then the guy said, are we listening to them or to Rav Kook? And then the Balfour Declaration came out, even though their opposition delayed its publication by a half a year, and it constricted its national content. The language was made not quite as definitive, and also it took that much longer at that. But Rav Kook saw that the declaration, the Balfour Declaration, as part of the beginning of the sprouting of the Geulah of Israel. And when the Balfour Declaration came out, then Rav Kook's name was raised as one of the main influencers and fighters for the sake of the delegation. And at a large gathering in London that happened after the publication of the dedication, in which the Zionist uh, leaders thanked the English people. Rav Kook stood up at that, and part of what he said there was, we have not come here to lo lehodot la'am angli bati hayom, not to thank, I didn't come here today to thank the English people. Ella lebarcho, but to bless you. Al shenafla bechelko, on that it fell to your portion, a schut, the merit, lematan hatzara zu leIsrael, the merit to make this announcement for Israel. What a blessing. You are blessed, and I'm here to bless you even more.
Yeah.
So now let's, here's another telling of the story in English. And it took place very quickly. He arrived not that much before, so it was one of the first things he did. But he himself, in things said, he didn't think he's going to spend 3 years in London, but afterwards described these things as a revelation of the hand of God, Gilu Yad Hashem, during those years. And these were events that he was centrally involved in. And here is the actual declaration and so on. We don't have to read it, but here it tells that certain assimilated leaders who called themselves Englishmen of the Mosaic faith, the staunchly Lord Montague and all these guys, they said they opposed all the plans to designate Palestine. And then Rav Kook put out a public notice, which was read in all the synagogues. Here it says after the Shabbat Torah reading. No, but it was, we know more accurately, before the Torah reading. It made a deep impression. And then there is a second letter that he sent to everybody, all the members of the British synagogues, to immediately request that the British government aid us in our demand to return to our Holy Land as our eternal national home. And that's also, I can show you that parts of it. The whole other, like a week later, they got a whole bunch more from all the synagogues. It was like this real push that he gave the language to. They were all quoting his language from what we're about to read. And so his efforts succeeded. The spiteful letter written by the influential Jewish leaders disregarded. The major British newspapers noted the spontaneous protest of the common folks of the Jews and repairing the negative impression. And of course, they again quote that same story. Who are we going to rely upon Lord Montague or Rav Kook, the rabbi of Mechazikei Adat? And then he says, I have come to congratulate the British nation for the privilege of making this declaration. It's a little more holier in the Hebrew, but look at what he said. I guess he said this: the Jewish nation is the scholar among the nations, the people of the book, a nation of prophets. It's a great honor for any nation to aid it. And therefore, I bless the British nation for having extended such honorable aid to the people of the Torah, so that they may return to their land and renew their homelands. And then Rav Kook himself said he saw this as an overt revelation. He wrote, I'll talk about the plagues, an imperviousness to God's intervention in history, that we're not seeing it. We're not being touched by it. That is plaguing our generation. Because in reality, a series of wondrous events has and continues to take place before us. God's reaching out, the Yad is coming out and bringing us back. Yet blind eyes fail to see Yad Hashem and deaf ears fail to hear the divine call guiding history. And then they quote here that, Baal Shem Tov, the Vilna Gaon. Oh, I guess this is part of what he wrote at the same time. And then he sort of named the historical events and Zionism and the settling of the land, the Second Aliyah, Balfour Declaration, the San Remo, when it put it into legal law. Balfour was just a declaration. When it went into the in San Remo into the League of Nations international law, that's when it, and also then the oath that we're not going against the will of the nations is also fulfilled. So if anybody took the three oaths seriously, it's at this point they're no longer relevant, and that was
and then the American Congress ratified it as well, because the U.S. was not in the League of Nations.
Yes, yes, yes. So he says individually, so it is all him. This is one of his speeches. Individually, each event can be explained separately in a rational manner. But when it's viewed together, we are discerning a wondrous chain of complementary links created and guided by Yad Hashem. As Yeshayahu, the prophet of redemption, cried out, "Hear, O deaf, and look, O blind, that you may see." Okay, so I found all right. This is the letter. This is the best copy of the letter. I also have most of it. I'll show you in a moment. But the prior, it's found as letter number 832, and it's a letter he wrote in Sivan, 1917. At the same time, and to his son Tzvi Yehuda, and he says to him, we blessings and love, and והנה על דרך שעת לעשות פרטי פרטים, הקיבוץ הולך בכללות. I'm not quite sure what he means, what he's saying that, but
his son was in Yaffo?
Or Europe. He might have been in Europe. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think he was in Europe. He stayed there. So he says, certainly you heard about the horrible thing that certain leaders of the community did here, the ones who are far away, that they announced in an official manner to deny the national identity of Israel. And a great stirring came up through this. And from my side, I prepared a macha'az, is like a macha'ah is like a demonstration. It's not exactly a demonstration, but it's like a real negdam. A protest. That's it. I organized a protest against them in the name of the committee of rabbis, that thing. And Baruch Hashem, this also made a strong impression in a number of areas. And during that day, I gave a drasha on this, where many people came to the Beit Knesset Machzikei Hadat. He must have done a big speech at Machzikei Hadat. And this whole effort made a strong impression for the good, Be'ezrat Hashem. And all this is part of the wonders that God is now gathering. The spirit of Hashem is coming on his people to prepare us for the light of Yeshua and redemption that will manifest with God's kindness soon through all the ma'apaliyot, all the events. We shall be strengthened and take courage to receive the flow of Or Kodesh, the holy light, Vurat Yesha, the power of Yeshua, the right hand of God, Romema, the right hand of God raised, B'ne'imat Adanea, with, and it's not, it's like, here it's very pleasant, with the pleasantness of its beauty, the Hod Ra'am Gvurata, and the splendor of the echoes of its Gvura, Ha'me'oded V'mechayeh, that supports and enlivens, that it's giving us strength. And this energy is really strengthening us. V'hineni bazeh avicha metzapeh oshrecha. And here, your father, I look forward for your osher and your tshuah, and hope to see you bekarov, Abba. And here is the whole letter in the way it was published, and as you see, it's in Yiddish. Puna Rav Kook b'shem Vuda Rabunim, mir vertashteren ganze aflantalich ga'agan, etc. I've never read Yiddish in my life, and that's the most Yiddish I've ever read publicly. But it all starts, and look, but it's a long thing. And then, along with it, and I assume at the same time, was to publish a Hebrew version, and we'll read the Hebrew, and here it is. But for the Hebrew, for most of it, I have it in the Hebrew English format, because this is research I did a long time ago, and I prepared this for something. So, but this doesn't have the entire, so certain parts will just go right back to the original text, but 75% of it is here in Hebrew English. So, Gilui Da'at al Dvar HaBgida HaLeumit, a public statement on this matter of national betrayal, read in all the synagogues in England. Ba'alatcha Mochim Anachnu Galui. We protest publicly neged kol korei haneshama hayehudit, against all those who want to rip the Jewish soul. Neged kol harotzim, against all who want leforer et hashlemut hanifla'a shel hayehudim v'hayahadut, against all those who want to break down the wondrous wholeness between Jews and Judaism. Rak Yahadut Shlema Anachnu Yodim. We only know a complete Judaism, not a Judaism where it doesn't have connection to the land. Hashlemut shel ata echad v'shimcha echad umi ke'amcha Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz lo tifared ve'lo tichalek le'olam. The wholeness of that you are one, that the divine is one, v'shimcha, and your name is one, and who is most like you is your nation Israel. Goy echad be'aretz, one people in the land of Israel. That wholeness lo tipared V'lo tichalek le'olam, will never be divided or separated ever. We protest publicly against all who would divide the Jewish soul, against all who want to fragment the wondrous wholeness of Jews and Judaism. We only recognize a complete Judaism. The perfection, the perfection of you are one, and your name is one, and who is like your nation, Israel, one nation in this one land, is indivisible. A shlemut, the perfection is maybe it might be better ways to translate that. But it's the completion of that. It's all one. That's what it's all about. And we are not, when we're not in Israel, we're not experiencing the unity. And therefore, Bekoach HaKadosh shel shlemut hayahadut, with the holy power of the wholeness of Judaism, anachnu mochim neged kol habogdim. We protest against all the traitors. Right? This isn't polite. We protest against all the traitors. Tovim anachnu. We demand. Tovim is like a legal claim. A tvi'ah. We demand et tvi'atenu. We demand, with the holy power of the holiness of Judaism, we protest against all the traitors. We demand our complete claim, our complete demand. Tovim anachnu et tvi'atenu hashlemit. Sorry, I guess I shouldn't do that. Our complete claim from et kol chevrenu achinu, from all our brothers, our friends, our brothers, other Jews in the world, et kol haenoshiyut tarbutit, and from all of civilized humanity. We demand our complete claim from all our brotherly friends and from all cultured, civilized humanity. Et gzelatenu anachnu tovim bashlemut. I think in this sentence may be the strongest sentence that every Jew ever said to the world. Et gzelatenu anachnu tovim bashlemut. That which that was stolen from us, the gzelah. And what's the difference in gzelah and gneva? Gzelah is the one, because one is you're doing it behind a person's back. Gzelah, it has to be the one where it's like much more violent, no? Because he didn't use the word gneva. There's difference between gzelah and gneva. But that gezelah, we are demanding completely that it has to be returned to us. Ha'avla, ha'tzo'eket shamayim, the injustice is screaming to the heavens. Mukhrachet lehitaken kula, it must be completely repaired. We demand that which was stolen from us must be returned to us completely.
Gazela is open robbery. It's not by stealth.
Meaning you can see it. It's not.
Yeah. It's more.
Exactly. That makes sense, right? You did exactly. You made it your religion. The fact that you did this from it became one of your religious highlights.
Also, he says completely, because the Balfour Declaration, because of the uh, internal cabinet opposition, was eventually a watered down version. It said a Jewish homeland in the land of Palestine, when we were really trying to get the whole of Eretz Israel.
but it still came out,
It
even
came
though he
out, but
wrote that.
it was a watered down version. So
Yeah,
they agreed
after this.
they agreed the
So,
compromise.
yeah. But here he's not talking to them, he's talking to the world.
Okay.
He's saying, we demand from all cultured humanity אנושיות תרבותית. את גזלתנו אנחנו תובעים בשלמות. The gzela, we demand completely. The injustice that was done to us is screaming to the heavens, and it has to be completely fixed. That's justice. That's mishpat. That's din. That's tzedek. That's what Avram is about, tzedek and mishpat.
It's like he's talking like a prophet to the whole world.
You got it. We demand that which was stolen from us must be returned to us completely. Artsenu hakdosha hayekara, our holy, precious land, mleat hahadar v'haplaot, that is full of splendor and wonders, muchrechet lechazer aleinu legamre, must be returned to us completely. Belo psharot, without compromise, belo chanifot, without any false flattery, whatever he means by that, legamre bashlemut, completely returned to us completely. Vema tamuahi, and what is most surprising, shebe'et hanifla'a hazot, that at this wondrous time, he's talking May 1917, sheyad Hashem mitraet, that the hand of a God has appeared, ba'ofen kol kach nifla, in such a wondrous way. The hand of God is revealing itself. Yimtseu anashim, we find people, ba'alei mochot metumtamim, that have stupid, idiotic brains, or however you want to say. But moach metumtam is like you're incapable of thinking. Velevavot arelim, and such uncircumcised hearts, their hearts are not circumcised. Shetiyeh lahem achutzpah, that they have the audacity, lahabia dvarim, to make announcements about things, b'chedei lahaktin veleforer, in order to make small and to disperse את השלמות היהודית הגדולה המקורית, this great Jewish foundational wholeness. Okay, now it makes a skip, and I want to go. How astonishing it is that in this wondrous time that the divine hand is appearing in such a wondrous way, we find people of such foolishness with hearts that are so covered that they would have the audacity to proclaim matters in order to reduce and weaken the great source of Jewish wholeness. It's a very short line that's missing. בשעה שידיעתה כל כך נחוצה לכל מעמדנו, at this time when the knowledge of this is so necessary for our entire historical establishment, for our historical place in the world. Anachnu mechuyavim. We are obligated, umuchrachim, and we must levaer lekol ha'enoshut halochemet, to all of the battling humankind, all the humankind that's at war, et chovotenu aleinu, et chovoteha aleinu, its obligation to us. We have to make clear to all humankind their obligation to us. Anachnu natanu harbe la'enoshiut. We gave so much to humankind. Hefachnu b'musar ha'enoshi koach ha'im. We brought in, we gave to the whole realm of human ethics the power of life. We gave ethics life. That suddenly everybody get, no, not to kill, not whether you did it or not is another question, but the whole concept of ethical behavior as being the most important thing. We brought human ethics, we gave ethics, it's koach chaim, divrei yameinu aniflaim, I guess all the words of our days, how do we translate? We have given much to humankind. We instilled the power of life into the human ethic. Our wondrous divine history was always the basis for the purest human spirit. This is a story of how Avraham and Sarah, and more purity and more purity. It's about purity and morality. That's what we've brought in, the understanding that that's important. Let's go back to the Hebrew just in that one line. Yeah. And the whole Elokim, the whole sense that we're in this divine relationship with the divine, and that our role in it is morality and ethics and the doing of good. That's been the basis for the most, to purify the human spirit of humankind. V'ha'amim heshivu lanu kegmulenu yafe me'od. Oh, I said I wouldn't do that, sorry. And the nations, they gave back to us from what we gave them very nicely. He's being sarcastic. Bigzol et admotenu. They stole our land. Begaresh otanu mimena, and kicking us off it, exiling us from it. Ubesrifat mikdashenu, and by burning down our mikdash, v'harisato, and destroying it. Beshchitut, with slaughterings. V'achzariut, with cruelty. Uvechol minei alilot shav. We are obligated, and we must clarify to all warring humankind its obligation towards us. We have given much to humankind. We instilled the power of life into the human ethic. Our wondrous divine history was always the basis for the purest human spirit, and the nations of the world gave us back very nicely for our contribution. They stole our land, they exiled us from it, they burnt down, destroyed our holy temple, and they slaughtered us with cruelty and accused us of all sorts of false claims. How true, right? Oh, you're the ones that, killed JC, and this. So now I want to see how much let's oh, it's just a little bit. I'll just read it to you thing. And all sorts of either inhuman claims. At the same time, when they're getting all their spirit from the wellspring of Ma'ayana Chaim Kadosh Shelanu, that they from our holy life, from our commitment to holiness, and they are nehenim b'melo apeh mepurateinu nehedarot. Yeah, because there's in the churches and stuff they were celebrating what the kings did, and they used all those guys for their story. Ve'ata, here let's go back to the thing. Ka'asher kvar omdim kenireh besof hamilchama. And now that we are coming, as it seems, to the end of the war, end of World War I, I'm going to read to you what's not translated. When the evil of horror, Rishat ha'amim hanora'ah, the evil of the horrible nations, destroyed, this is not what happened in the war, destroyed everything good and everything peaceful, as at the same time that the land of the planet is shaking and all stirred up, and it's because of its heavy sinning. It's under the weight of its wrongdoing. It's the whole world is falling apart. At the time when the ideas of nations and the thrones of kings are exploding, at the time when all humankind is seeking, hoping for some eternal liberation from in the blood of this horrible war that we don't want to keep bleeding. The world is looking for some way out of this war, out of war. And they are seeking Vehinenu, he's saying at the time, though, when also the great suffering of humankind is actually awakening a little spark of holiness in the hearts of the masses. We don't want to continue like this anymore. Vehinan kecholmim, and we are here, this is here, and we are all as dreaming, שהעתיד של אחרי המלחמה יביא בכלל חיים חדשים. We are all dreaming that the future after this war will bring to everywhere a new life. הרבה יותר יפים מאשר היו מקודם. Much more beautiful than they were before. Chaim shel Yosher, this is not in the text, I skipped. Chaim shel Yosher v'tzedek, life of integrity and justice, righteousness. Asher b'mofotehem, because what will manifest out of that will be worth. Yushavim et kol naharei hadam shenishpechu lamanam, will make all the, somehow worth it, all the rivers of blood that was spilled for it. We have to bring a world that at least we can say it brought this in. So all the blood that was spilled, that is not, it's on that level. You're saying at this time, we're in this situation, we go back here, ha'im ein aleinu, is it not our obligation, בשעה הנוראה והנפלאה והקדושה הזאת, in this awesome, wondrous, holy hour, Hova Gdola. We have a great obligation, Lehodia lekol ha'enoshiyut, to announce to all of humankind, Im lo yitrachatzu miharetzach v'mihagezel she'olelu lanu. If they don't cleanse themselves from the murder and the theft that they did to us, הם מעמידים בסכנה את כל תיקון העולם. And now, as we apparently are approaching the end of the war, we dream that the future after the war will bring new life that is much better than before. Is it not therefore that we are now at this time? Is it not incumbent upon us in the AWE, awful, wondrous, holy time? It is our great obligation to announce to all humankind that if they do not cleanse themselves from the murder and the theft that they caused us, the children of Israel, they put the whole repair of the world in danger. So we still have like this is 20% left. But let's leave it for tomorrow. I don't want to rush it because there's so much here. And you know, his punchlines are always, but so first of all, I want to make a blessing that the world come to hear this because this call is still resonating. And we see what's happened since then, how much more loudly, and the rivers of Jewish blood that have spilled and. But fortunately now, you know, God, Tzahal, we are getting the land of Israel back and we have power over it, and our enemies are getting weaker. But it's still so much pain, so much pain, so much pain, and so many people's lives and all the trauma and all the horrible things. So please may Hashem Yitbarach bring it forth that the entire world will respond and be able to. It's because it's an agreement not to let the evil control us anymore, and not to live in cooperation to all the people of the world, to take the power away from the evil, and to give it back to the just, and all that, and that's so. May the zchut of Rav Kook's vision and holiness and everything really bring us the inspiration, the understanding, and certainly the strength that Israel has now. Is we've never been stronger than we ever have. So thank you, Hashem, for that we are here now, and may our learning and yearning bring the process of getting rid of all the evil in the world to completion, so that all of the world can be yesh shiro el, the beings who see the divine, and in that way we're all living together in the shalom that the Creator. V'nomar.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen, amen, amen.
Yeah. So you see what an amazing document that is?
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that. Any other just didn't exist. They're like, you know, it's like nothing like that has ever been. And Yeah. And you should give us this. If you know any Yiddish speakers, you should get them to read it in the Yiddish.
Was this sent to the Pope too? Like to the leaders like the Pope or leaders?
I don't know if it was officially. They probably it made it into the newspapers, so it probably made a big stir. 'Cause what happened realistically though is that Saturday night and also the next week he sent a letter which we'll review tomorrow, encouraging everybody to get this campaign going to all the gabbis of the synagogue. So they did it with so they were besieged the government with the response of the masses of the Jews, who said those highfalutin leaders that are into assimilation, they're not speaking for us. And and then the Balfour Declaration came out, and it could be if this didn't happen, it would not have come out, and then it wouldn't have gone to the League of Nations and so on. But we're still fighting that ideology.
I mean, the message to the Jewish people, if this was at the point that it's a message to the Jewish people, you had opposition from the assimilated Jews and the Frum Jews on both wings, and we got the same thing today.
Right, right.
We had it in our history also. Hanukkah, all kinds of. It doesn't leave us. But what you said was, please take their power away. Give the power to the just, and give us vision, inspiration, understanding, and strength. I wrote it all down.
That's yeah, no, that's what we're getting it. I mean, the fact that we are in such. To ensure our survival, Israel has to become so excellent at so many things that we wouldn't be quite as motivated if it wasn't a matter of life and death. And yet that has such an incredible good spillover on the level of, the level of the depth and strength of the people. And the willingness to give to something larger than oneself. Hey. Well,
and also, like you said, your name is, you were translating, your name is one, your nation is one, your land is one. And maybe now we need the Bas Kol, as one, like the power of the voice. We can all be living in the same place, but we don't have a unified voice.
Well, yes. That so it's quite a process. It's quite a process, this Israelization. Because it has an inevitable force of unfolding through the good or through the bad. And if we don't do it the right way, it'll happen through the bad. But it is unfolding, and it's unstoppable. It's an ongoing creation. So in any case, the Sefer Yetzirah Shiur is in an hour. So Nachum, I hope you can join us, and of course, Shoshana, you're very welcome to. And
has anybody been listening to this? What's the prince's name? The Iranian, they just did a cyber attack on Iran, and then his